Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to talk to you about how I took this picture and the kind of technical things that go with it. Posted it onto the community tab on YouTube. The question that got asked was, what lens was it? Which is fine, I think that's a reasonable question. I think the correct question though, which I often find which nobody ever asks, is how did you get that shot? And I think the two sort of go hand in hand. It's like, it should be what lens was that and how did you do it? I'm going to go through how I did it anyway. So it was shot on the 5D Mark I with the 70-200 f4 IS at f4 and close to 200 millimeters. The idea of the shot is a sort of more reflective portrait, so it's a little bit more thoughtful. There's kind of like two things going on here. One is to sort of understand the composition, and the second one is to understand how the lighting gets created. So compositionally, she's looking down past her shoulder, and I'm framing her on the right hand side so she's got somewhere to look down to. You can usually tell with the bride which side of her face she likes the most because of the way her hair is parted. And so what I'm doing with the veil is I'm positioning the veil in such a way that the lines of the veil come across diagonally and follow the line that she's looking at. So you're getting that feeling of that movement from sort of left to right. This is the kind of picture that a bride will print. A picture that a bride's going to print out, to me, is a high value shot because it is for my customer, which is the bride. And it's not too hard to do, it's just that you need to be aware of a few things. And I think that it's the kind of picture where someone says, yeah, I'll go and do that, and then they'll try and do it, and they won't necessarily pull it off unless they know a few bits and pieces, which we'll get into in a minute. The first thing, obviously, is that you need to have a longer lens in order to do this. So a 70-200 is ideal. I think that nowadays, especially the f4 zoom lenses are more than enough. So the thing you have to notice with this picture is the bride has her back to me. I'm getting her to turn her shoulder slightly and then look down. People don't often see what they're looking at, especially photographers when they look at pictures like this. They'll like, if you say to them, how is she standing? They'll say, yes, her back is faced towards them. But when people then go to try to replicate a shot like that, they won't do it. They'll just get the bride looking forwards at them, facing forwards towards them, and then turning their head off to the side. And so the idea of photographing the bride on a quarter turn from behind isn't necessarily as obvious to people, especially for a portrait shot like this. By the way, if you're finding these kind of tips useful and the lighting tips that I'm going to go into a minute, subscribe to my newsletter in the link down below to get discounts for my online workshops that will be exclusive to that newsletter. So let's get into the lighting. How is this lit? Well, we've got a white veil. So what we need to be doing is we need to be specifically looking for a dark background, and it has to be a neutral background as well. When we're outdoors, what I'm looking at is for trees, but I'm looking for something that I can just blur out into focus so it becomes a relatively neutral flat background. And it has to be dark because I want the highlights on the veil to catch. And I want them to catch in such a way that they kind of give this sort of misty look where they're just streaking across the picture. You're aware that it's a veil, but the highlights are standing out. So for highlights to stand out, they have to be on a dark background. The other thing that I need is I need the bride to be in shade, at least open shade. So it doesn't matter if it's a cloudy day or anything, but I need to find a shadow that I can put the bride under, and then this will work. And following on from that, I also need to get this veil pointing in the right direction. So what I do is I take the veil and I'm putting it over the top of the bride's head. So it's over backwards, right? And then I'm getting the groom to hold the veil so it doesn't fall completely. And then I walk over to the bride and I take those bits of material on the veil and I fold them so it creates this shape around the bride's head. And then I've got these lines. Now, if the groom or someone doesn't hold the veil, the whole thing will just flop and point downwards, which still looks okay, but it doesn't give you that line in the picture, which is what I'm after. So I usually get the groom to hold the veil, and then I take the picture quickly and move on. I don't linger on the shot. I look on the back of the camera. I might take 3, maybe 4 pictures, and then move on to the next thing because I don't want to spend a long time setting things up. And I also don't like to do too many post shots on a day as well. I want to keep things moving, and I'm more interested in natural connections between the bride and groom. Having said all that, this kind of picture gets you noticed. This is the kind of pictures that brides will put on Instagram. It's the kind of things that they'll show their friends because they want their friends to say, wow. It's all very well like looking through all of the reportage pictures, and I get reportage wedding photography, and it's 98% of what I do on a wedding, probably 99% of what I do on a wedding day is reportage. but you will stand out massively if you can take a picture like this, because brides want to turn around to their best friends, their group of friends and their family and say, hey, look at this. This is one of those types of pictures that they can do it with. I like to create a whole bunch of pictures of the bride and groom together that are going to get that kind of emotion or evoke a response from the people they show it to. And by doing that, you can get a really good feedback from your couple, and they'll be very happy with you, and you're more likely to book wedding clients more easily like that. That's just the way it is. You know, people like to be able to show off about their wedding day and the pictures they had taken, and you need to have a few wow shots in order to do that. And the emotional shots of family members will mean a lot to them, but it's not something that people don't go, hey, look at Granny crying. Like that. No one's doing that, but they will be like, hey, look at this picture of me and my husband. They're going to do that. So in terms of customer satisfaction, and especially for ongoing sales, taking pictures like this are really useful. So again, if you find this kind of content useful, I really urge you to click the link in the description, sign up for my newsletter so you can get those discounts for those workshops where I'll be showing a lot of how to work with couples and all these ideas and putting them together so you can build the kind of portfolio that's going to get you booked and the people are going to share and want to share with other people. There's also going to be a lot of courses on portrait photography, on landscape photography, a little bit on street stuff as well, and a whole bunch of different things on lighting and so on, and ideas and compositions, how to work with people. There's going to be a lot of content on there that I build up gradually, and the newsletter is a way to get a discount for it. And if you stayed with me this far, you might want to check out this video over here.